Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Nerd News Desk. And didn't have a show yesterday because I was traveling to St. Louis, but we will have a show today. Not going to be super long, but we are going to talk about a few things, and I'm going to show off some photos. So those of you listening just through audio on Podbean or iTunes, one of those type places, I will do my best to kind of narrate and go along with some of this stuff. But did some shopping yesterday. So I live, hour and a half from St. Louis, something like that. So drove down to St. Louis to check out a couple places. One place I was familiar with, I've been there plenty of times, but they just moved to a new location. The other place was a place I'd never been before, but I wanted to check out, and I'm glad I did. So before we get into all of that, though, I did want to go over some of the comments from the last episode a little bit. First of all, Walter Sylvie, is that how you pronounce your last name? He knew a lot more about the Intellivision. He said it's under $200. They're shooting for $179. They're hoping to have 5 games bundled with it. So obviously that's a much better deal than what I was thinking. And Breakout will support 4 to 8 players playing, I guess, Warlord style, right? Different directions at the same time, either back and forth or across, or I'm not sure exactly how it works. But I believe it's simultaneous, right? It's not everybody takes turns like a party game, right? I don't know. Now that I say that, maybe I'm thinking of the Warlords demo, because someone was trying to remake Warlords, and now I don't know. The things that you think you know, and then suddenly you start talking about them, and then you think, man, I should have looked that up right before I started recording. Oh well, life is what it is. Let's see, what else do we have here? Walter also added that Echo the Dolphin, Earthworm Jim are going to be coming to the Intellivision, and I have heard about the Earthworm Jim remake. Big deal. Indiegogo, right? I think he was getting money to help make the game. And all games they're hoping to sell for $3 to $10. And here's the thing with that. Like I like that idea, but I don't know that that's something that's going to last long term, because there aren't a lot of margins in selling games that cheap. And when you look at something like the Ouya, if you remember that console, it also promised cheap games. It promised demos of all the games, and after, a year or whatever, they realized that it was a little more difficult to stick with the margins and to force everyone to make demos and to keep the prices low, so they started allowing more expensive games. They stopped requiring demos of everything, and they still ended up going under. Even though that was a really interesting box, and I did enjoy some of the games that were on there. I still have one sitting downstairs. It's not hooked up to anything, and I know you can hack them and turn them into like a Plex server or something, but anyway, I do appreciate that it is going to be under $200. That makes it a little bit easier to digest. I would like to have one of the Tron-inspired colors, of course. I just don't know if that's something that I'm going to jump on right away. I don't know. I've been burned, I've been burned. I bought the Ouya. I am that guy. And I also feel like the Wii U was a real letdown, too, as far as consoles go. But, we still end up buying a Switch, so it's whatever. Another thing, again, I know I showed this to you before, but I'm having the issue once again in YouTube where it'll tell me that there are comments being held because they're possibly spam. And I go to click to look at them, see if I should allow them, whatever. And it's blank. There's nothing there. But it said there was one. Now it says there's 2. And yet I go to try to approve them, to let them post if they're okay, and nothing. I get nothing. So those of you who are leaving comments, if you left a comment and you're wondering why I never mentioned anything about it, why I never gave it a thumbs up, why I never responded to it, probably because I can't see them. It will do that. Every so often you go in and it'll say, comment held for review. And so I click on comment held for review. Nothing. Nice work. You're all caught up. Well, okay. So if again, if you have left a comment on YouTube and I didn't respond, just shoot me an email, dirt@dirtmound.com. Quick, easy way to get a hold of me, or through Facebook or whatever. Yeah. Oh, another person actually asked several days ago, how many YouTube channels do I actually watch? Honestly, it's about 5 that I watch regularly. I'm subscribed to, I think, like 180. Something like that. But really, when it comes down to it, the ones I watch regularly are about 5. Again, it comes down to time. There's a lot of other stuff I want to do. A lot of, I've got kind of like adult ADD where I'm always trying to get into different things and look at different things. And that's why when I do a show like this, sometimes we talk about comics, sometimes we're talking about toys, sometimes we're talking about video games, sometimes we're talking about laptops or copyright on YouTube or whatever, because my brain just goes all over the place on so many different things. So yeah, watching a channel regularly, catching all their content, and even then, some of them, if they post if it's like a 40-minute video, I may watch 10, 15 minutes, kind of scrub through a little bit. I get the idea, I got it, okay, move on. I may not actually watch the whole thing. I'm horrible for your analytics. And I know some of you guys are the same way with this channel. Totally get it. I totally understand. So anyway, I just wanted to mention some of that before we get into today's episode. So what we're talking about today, though, is recent trip to St. Louis. I did stop at a place called Saga Toys, and I stopped at a place called Arch City Gaming Company. And these are 2 places I'm going to talk about a little bit. Enjoyed them both. Actually, Saga Toys, their biggest problem is they are completely disorganized. When you go in there trying to find something, they do have certain areas set up where it's like, here's G.I. Joe stuff, here's Masters of the Universe stuff, here's Transformers stuff. But then they kind of break out of that in different ways. It's called Saga. It was originally a lot of Star Wars toys and branched out into other stuff. But if you go down there and you're trying to find something specific, like I like to collect Mask, the old toy line Mask. And I was trying to find some specific things. I've been down there before, and they've had a bunch of different pieces, and I thought I might pick up, some of the stuff that I hadn't picked up. Like, every time I go down, I've bought a different Mask piece. So I thought I might pick something up. None of them were out yet because they recently moved to the new location, and they're still getting things out and trying to get things organized. They're much more organized now than they were in the old location, but it's still one of those places you're going to walk in and there's boxes of stuff piled all over the place, and then I don't know, like a third of the store is kind of blocked off by the shelving, and you can see that there's just boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff back there that he's never had a chance to go through. Now, I actually took a bunch of toys down there and sold it to him. I asked Killen first, and he is so backed up with inventory. He was like, I just don't have the time to go through them. I said, no problem. Took him down to Saga Toys. As someone who worked in a store that dealt with people trading in toys, buying them, giving credit or cash, I understand that there are margins that are worked into these prices. If something sells for $50, you're lucky to get $20. You're very lucky to get $20 if it sells for $50, because they need to make a profit. When they sell it for $50, they're selling it also trying to pay for their rent and pay for the electricity and pay for the water and pay for the guy standing behind the counter and all of that kind of stuff. And people very rarely take that into consideration when you go to a store and you trade something in, that they are going to turn around and price and set on a shelf. It's different than if I were to sell it to you. If I were to walk up to you and say, hey, this is worth $50, I'll make you a deal, and so we come up with a deal of $40, then we're both happy. I got cash, you got a deal, whatever. If I go to a store, they're going to buy it or give credit for it, trade credit, but then there's no guarantee it's actually going to sell. It may sit on their shelves for months or years even. In fact, I went down and I looked and I was like, oh, well, there's something I recognize. That was mine, and that was mine, and that was mine. But when I traded them in, I lowballed myself. That's a phrase I probably shouldn't ever repeat. I came up with a low estimate of what I thought it would be worth. generally thinking like this is someone I'd never dealt with before, didn't know, and it was a whole bunch of stuff. And I kind of felt like I was overloading the guy with this first, but I was trying to clean up the house and get rid of a lot of stuff. Some of the stuff was the old That New Toy Smell stuff that I've had sitting around for years, I've never played with. We bought to cover on the show, or they were review pieces that they sent down that we did videos of, and I've just had them sitting in drawers and whatever. So I took the stuff down there, came up with a low estimate, what I thought would be fine. I would be willing to take. It was kind of like the lowest. This is the lowest I would take in, credit. And he actually offered me almost 2.5 times what I was expecting, which was fantastic. I definitely took it. I thought it was a great deal. He definitely did much better than I was expecting. And there were some nice pieces in there. I'm aware of that. And there was a bunch of garbage in there, and I'm aware of that too. And so, and then like the last time I took stuff down and he gave me a quote for credit, and I was like, actually, I was hoping to get a little bit of cash because we were getting ready to take a trip at the time, and I just wanted some extra, throw around money. Because, you go someplace and you're at a theme park or whatever, and it's like, oh, let's get a pretzel, and the pretzel's like $12, something like that. And it's like, Urgh. So I really wanted a little bit of extra cash, throw in my pocket, take around with me. So, I said, hey, can we work something out with a little bit of cash and some credit? And yeah, he cut a deal. And again, I thought it was very fair. I thought it was a very good price. Now I'm going to show some photos here. Let me make sure I get the right. Boop. There we go. All right. So here you can just see there's some of the girl stuff out there. The My Little Pony. My daughter loves My Little Pony stuff. They have a whole bunch. In fact, she wanted to get this My Little Pony playset one time, and I was like, that's fine, you can get that if you want, but you got to clean a spot in your room to put it. And so she set it right back down and did not get it. You can see that there's some Nerf stuff right next to it, and again, he's in the process of setting up and getting things in place. So this shelf you see sitting off to the side, it's still a work in progress, but some Nerf guns here, some of the ones that shoot bolts, and some of the ones that shoot crossbow darts, and some of the ones that shoot the little yellow balls. They were stacked up kind of behind here. So if you walked over and looked, you could see all this stuff, but from this point of view with the camera, it's not the best. Here's a display case with a bunch of Power Rangers. You can see that there's from all different eras of Power Rangers. He's got a bunch of stuff. There's some Star Wars stuff next to it over here. Actually, I meant to buy these astromech droids. Actually, I've got that R2, but I was going to buy this green. I forget what his name is. I forgot about that. I'm going to have to go back down. I love astromech droids. All right, but anyway. And then down here, there's like some hockey figures, and there's a couple places where he's got some sports figures if you're into the McFarlane stuff, or the... oh, man, what was that? There was an old sports line of toys. And now I can't think of the name now. But I remember they did like NBA and baseball, and I think also hockey. Starting lineup? Was that it? Starting lineup? Yes. Yeah. So there's the McFarlane stuff. There's the old starting lineup toys. They've got a bunch of that stuff. Here's a wall with a bunch of Transformers, box stuff, and then loose. And there's another case. I thought I had a picture of it. I guess I didn't. It didn't come out or whatever. But he's got tons of Transformers and tons of big stuff, combiners, Unicrons, Fortress Maximus. The original Fortress Maximus was down there. And some of these back here, the Transformers, were actually the Japanese versions. So you can see those. He has some third-party stuff that people have traded in. So tons and tons of stuff as far as that stuff goes. Here are Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. These are the classic figures over on this edge. And then as you move from left to right, some of the newer stuff is kind of mixed in. And then on the other side, they had the latest package stuff. So anything he had in the package was on the other side of the wall. On this side of the wall was the loose stuff in bags. But as you can see, there's a fair amount of those if you're looking for something. And one thing he does do is he does have them in different states, so at different prices. So if you want like Undercover Donatello, you can get him in he's got the jacket and the hat that were molded onto him, nothing else, and it's a few bucks. but you want it with the mask, it's a few more bucks. He's got one with the mask in the briefcase, it's a few more dollars. So he does a pretty good job of, kind of changing the price to fit how many accessories are still left with the figure and, what condition it's in and everything. It's not like everything is all set at one singular price regardless. My niece, I didn't know, I was actually sending messages to my sister, trying to see if my niece might want some of this stuff for Christmas. So she's not into elves. I thought maybe she would be, but elves are not her thing. She likes the Playmobil princess stuff more than actual Legos. But nonetheless, there's a whole wall of Lego stuff, different sets, and he does have Lego sets people have turned in, and he has meticulously gone through, made sure every single piece is there, the instructions are there, and then he reboxed them in his own box. But he's got it marked that it is a complete set, every single brick and the instructions, and then priced accordingly. So if you're looking for some Lego stuff, it's also a good place to check out. Again, with Nerf, there's a bunch of random like plush and Pez dispensers and things like that. Again, trying to see if my niece would be interested in any of this kind of stuff. And even my son was like, "Ooh, Pokemon," and he likes the Pokemon plush figures as well. But you can see Star Wars, Minions, Trolls. There's Boba Fett back there. The Christmas themed ones, and then there's some Halloween themed ones and some regular ones, and there were some Simpsons ones thrown in there and all kinds of stuff. All right, now here is the area full of pop vinyls, and you can see if you're on audio, I will tell you there's a display case that I'm standing in front of that are the high dollar ones that you can't see. Those are behind my back. Right in front of me, there's a bin full of old Happy Meal toys, and then after that, you can see there are these white shelves full of pops. These are, I think, 2 levels, and then the top, so 3 technically levels of pops piled up there, pop vinyls, and then some of the other Mighty Mugs and whatever. But then behind that, you can see that there's this giant, it looks like grocery store shelves, just full of pops. Lots and lots and lots of pops. And I'm not sure if I got them in a separate photo or not, but on the left-hand side here, you can see there are Lego minifigures individually packaged along the wall too. So if you're looking for anything, and even if you're not looking specifically for something from a set, he does have a lot of the like custom ones where you can get Fakor and He-Man and Skeletor, or you can get like some of the James Bond villains, or whatever, some of those ones that you find on Wish.com, and I don't know if he ordered them or if they were traded in, but nonetheless they are in there as well. Here's some more Star Wars stuff, packaged stuff from different eras. You can see there's some Power of the Force stuff. There's some vintage collection stuff. There's the Black Series. There's, all kinds of stuff there. Here are loose Star Wars figures. And again, much like the Turtles, where some have certain accessories and some don't, priced accordingly. But he's got figures. I tried to take a picture of some of the vintage ones he has, but it didn't turn out because of the lighting where I happen to be standing. But I mean, he's got everything from the vintage figures all the way up to some of the newest ones, and he's got them loose and he's got them packaged accordingly. You can grab up. Here's Masters of the Universe, the 2000X series, which is, I always called it. It's also known as the Matt Young Productions, packaged and loose. Then we've got some of the newer Savage World figures and the DC Primal Age, the Funko stuff that looks like classic Masters of the Universe figures. Here's like Jurassic World figures, Jurassic Park stuff. There's Thundercats kind of off to the side, got cut off in the photo. Now here are the classic vintage Masters of the Universe, and these are loose ones in bags. Now these are the ones that are pretty much going to be just the figure, or maybe the figure and a shield, or the figure and a sword, but not fully complete ones. He keeps those in a separate spot, vintage ones that are complete and in good shape. But here are more bags of the loose ones, similar if you've ever been to like V-Stock, vintage stock, someplace like that. Just in bags on the wall. There's some RoboCop toys. Some of those are mine, actually, that I traded in. If you watch That New Toy Smell, we did an episode one time on RoboCop, and most of those toys were from my personal collection there that you can see. And there's some more RoboCop stuff, and even some of these were from my original collection there. Radio-controlled R2-D2, that's another thing I came real close to buying. Here's a wall of Masters of the Universe classics. And there are a lot of them. He's got the big ones. He's got the normal ones. He's got the 2-packs. He's got the vehicles. He's got the animals. He even has some of the weird stuff that came out in that in-between time period between classics and the 2000X, where it's like the Snake Tila. There was a She-Ra that they did. There was a Mossman. These are like, I think, mail-aways or something. I forget. Anyway, just, again, tons and tons and tons of this stuff. If you're looking for something, it's there. It might, you go on eBay, you might find a better deal. You don't always know what you're getting with. Here, you can pick it up on the shelf, see it immediately, you have it. Might pay a little bit more. Some of them you might pay a little bit less, because I have found some deals on certain things. G.I. Joe vehicles. Here's a whole bunch of, and there were probably 6 of these display cases that had G.I. Joe stuff. I only took 1 or 2 pictures because I didn't want to look like, I was casing the joint to come back and rob it or anything like that. But nonetheless, there's that. You can even see replicas of some of the old, the 12-inch figures. Okay, here's some more Masters of the Universe stuff. The Japanese package ones from, I believe those were from Funko. The stuff from Matty Collector, the stands, the new Funko vintage ones, the ones that are based off the animated series, the reaction figures, and then he also has loose reaction figures. There were some that I'm trying to remember. I don't remember. Were they blind boxed? And so he's got those in packages, so you can go in and take a look at them, and buy the ones that specifically you want. And for the packaged ones that he's sorted through, I think they're only like maybe $15.99 to get them. They're complete. Everything's there in the package, or I think it's $19.99 if they're the special colored ones. So I do have a bunch of those. Also along this back wall, you can see he's got tons of the vehicles, classic vehicles, and then he's got the what were those? The commemorative series. That's the word, commemorative series, where they came in the retro packaging, but they were remade. So he's got those available as well. And then this last section down here are the Masters of the Universe figures. These are all in individual little plastic boxes. He made his own backdrop for them in there, so it looks like the green brick wall, but it's going to be the figure. It's in good shape. It's got the accessories, and those are, if you're looking for that holy grail piece to finish off your collection, that's a great place to look too. You can see here's a Castle Grayskull in the box up there, very expensive. He had a couple loose vintage ones that were missing. They missed the floor or whatever. It's just like the shell and the door, and he sells them for $20 or whatever. Snake Mountain that's missing the microphone, doesn't work. He's got some of those sitting around that you can get as well. Supernaturals, I loved these toys. Oh man, I wish, again, I almost bought these out of the package. Were like $10 or something. They were not expensive at all. The one in the package was much pricier, but still almost bought them. I had all those when I was a kid, and it's it's like, I kind of want to buy them, but I don't need them, but I really want them, but I don't. And then Police Academy, Smurfs, those are toys you don't find all the time. Here's some more of Transformers. It's like vacation photos. Here we are at the beach, and here we are eating a sandwich. Here's the Voltron section back here, and there's also the Star Wars, was that the Sand Skiff, I think it's called. But then you can see that he's got, the new Voltron stuff. Then there's Voltron Third Dimension. This is also, I believe, Voltron Third Dimension up here. This Thomas the Tank Engine Voltron, which I have one of those knockoffs sitting around here somewhere. But he's got the Voltron's based off the new series, and the Voltron's based off the 84 series that have come out with the new ones, plus some of the vintage stuff sitting around. Oh, there's a mask playset right there. It was hiding with the Voltron stuff. Now I see it. Although he had 2 or 3 of these last time I was down there. But I don't see any of the other vehicles yet. And they weren't in this display case. Over here in the display case, these are Centurions, I believe they were. So, you can see there's some of that stuff in there as well. Again, just lots and lots of stuff. A little overwhelming at times. Here's Knight Rider with a Michael Knight action figure. Don't see that every day. Here's wrestling figures in package. Some of the ones that have been pulled off. Generally, there are a lot more of these. I know he's got a lot more, but again, just moved, so they're not all out. Here's loose ones in the bags. And again, if you're willing to dig through the pegs, if you're trying to find that one Hurricane or that one Triple H or that one Yokozuna or whatever, more than likely they've got one loose somewhere on this wall. There are so many figures there. It's redonkulous. He even has some of these mini wrestling figures. This is another display case nearby. The Evolution of Sting box set. Then these mini guys, the Rumblers. He also sells loose belts because he's had so many figures traded in. If you want to just go buy a championship belt, he's got them down there. He's got the WWE muscle figures, also down there at the bottom. And in fact, that's something else. Those are soccer games. We'll talk about that in a minute. Before we get to that, actually, one of the things that I bought is this wrestling belt you see sitting behind me. For those of you on audio, it is the big gold belt replica put out by WWE. It does have the WWE logo at the top, but I've seen people online who sell... I don't know if they're just stickers, foil stickers, what the deal is, but you slap that on there, it covers up the WWE. There's like a little circular design in the original belt that you can put on there, but I saw it and I was like, I'm going to have to buy that, the big gold belt, and throw that in my collection. I do have a bunch of belts, probably more than I really need, but there's just something fun. And of course, as a kid, I used to build my own because I could never afford to buy actual toy ones at the store or whatever. So anyway, now that I'm adult, I'm a grown man, I can buy the toys because now I can afford them. So, all right, so Saga Toys. Saga Toys is down on the south side of St. Louis. So being that I am from Springfield, I come down on 55, and then you come down on 255 and come around, and there is Saga Toys. It does take a fair amount of time, and the Yelp reviews, Yelp, there's something fishy going on with Yelp, with a lot of Yelp reviews, but some people are just dumb. They were like, oh, everything is kind of disorganized, 1 star. It's like, come on, there's great stuff there. So anyway, Saga Toys is down there. Now, I did also go up to the northwest side to Arch City Gaming Company. An Arch City Gaming Company, I'm not even showing you my screen. I'm talking about the screen, and I'm pointing stuff out, and I'm not even showing it. Let's go back. Boop, there we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so here's the map of St. Louis. I would come down on 55 here and go to the south side. Okay, and then... definitely worth a drive, definitely worth checking out. And then you can come right around 270 over to Arch City Gaming Company. So you can see that they're, good little drive around on the interstate. But Arch City Gaming Company, when it says games, it means games. They have board games. They have like Dungeons and Dragons type games, role-playing games. They've got like Car Wars and things like that. If you remember some of those old like Steve Jackson games like Ticket to Ride. They also have video games. You can get PlayStation games, PS2, PS3, PS4, Xbox games, Dreamcast games, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Intellivision, Atari 2600. In fact, one of the things that I picked up was soccer for the Atari 800 or 400 home computer. And this, it does have some goo on the front with the original price sticker here. It was $44.95 when it came out in 1982. But, I mean, as you can see, this is not the type of thing that you're going to run across every day, especially not with the instruction manual, especially not with the cartridge and the plastic tray complete here inside the case. And it was $10 or something like that. Like, it was ridiculously cheap. Now, for those that don't remember the Atari home computer, it was basically, just a keyboard. A terrible keyboard, by the way. It was, the keys were flat, and so you pressed almost like, it was a speak and spell? No, that's not what it was called. Can't think of what it's called, but instead of the keys, like you think in a laptop or a desktop computer where you're typing and the keys are going up and down, it's just flat and there's a pad under there, so you have to kind of push in order to do the keys. Terrible design for a computer, but it was able to play original games, and then they had adapters. You could play the 2600, 5200 games on them. He actually had a computer, the Atari 400, down there, but it was just recently traded in. No power cable. He had no idea if it worked, and he didn't really want to sell it without knowing, going through all the testing to see if it works, which is a shame because I would have jumped on it. But nonetheless, so Atari home computer games, with those there as well, again, in fantastic shape. And I bought it because of what you guys saw just a minute ago when I was flipping through the photos. I collect soccer games. And this is actually the collection of games I have sitting in my living room that makes my wife upset every time she sees them. You can see I've got all kinds of different soccer games here. I've got games, same game released on different systems. I've got steelbooks that came with certain games. I've got the Japanese version and the US version. If they released a version and then later a deluxe version, I got both. They have a regular version and a Champions League version. Some of those I have both. Everything, you can see old Atari, you can see Super Nintendo, NES, Famicom. Got a couple copies of soccer there. I've got Intellivision games. I've got N-Gage, FIFA, something you don't see every day. Sega Saturn and Sega CD soccer games. PSP, Vita, Wii U, PS4, yeah. So my wife hates this corner of the living room. I even down here off to the side, I've got GameStop. Some of the cards that you can get at GameStop and Target and Walmart, whatever. When you buy the different stuff, I've grabbed some of them off the shelves over the years and just kind of tossed them back in there. I got a demo one time for. It was a PSP version of soccer. What was it? World Tour Soccer, I believe it was. World Tour Soccer on PSP. And they sent me a sleeve with the little demo disc in it, so I've got that there. Back at the time when I got it, I didn't really care about soccer. I just kind of threw it on my shelf, but I'm the type of person that never throws anything away. So years later, I get into soccer, and hey, I've got this nice little collector's piece. But yeah, so collect soccer games, lots of them, and this was a neat thing to add to my collection. Now, Arch City Gaming, I'm just going to jump on here real quick and show from their Facebook page. It's video games, it's board games. They also have stuff like socks, like superhero socks. There's underoos, as a matter of fact. Unfortunately, none of them came in my size, but they had the underoos there nonetheless. There's some more socks. Here you can see some of the different card games, the board games, the X-Wing miniatures game. Here's T-shirts. They also have hats. Hats were on sale when we were there right now, for the holidays. So you've got that stuff to look forward to. You can see they have robes, He-Man Skeletor, underoos, posters. They even have some original artwork of, I don't remember if any of them are on here. Now here's consoles. They've had consoles that people have come in and painted. So that cost a little bit more than the regular, but you can pick up some of these neat personalized console systems. And again, just it's one of those places. It's not a huge store, but there's so much in there that you just kind of walk around and you look at a lot of this stuff, and just over and over and going back through, and like, you missed something, so you walk away, but then you turn around and go back and kind of dig through some of the stuff again. Just lots of stuff. Neither one of these places are sponsoring this video. Nobody's paid any extra. They didn't even know I was going to talk about it. 5 people listen to this podcast in the world, so not that big of a deal. They weren't giving me any special attention or anything like that, but I really, really like these stores. Again, places to go to spend money, although I did get some stuff for Christmas. So it's not like I just went shopping for me. The main reason to go was to pick up some stuff for Christmas. Succeeded, got some things. So that is cool as far as I'm concerned. So, comics for this week. I bought the books. I ended up buying the Aliens vs. Predator book. I still haven't read it. Haven't read anything. In fact, I think I've got some of them. Some of the pickups sitting here. I still haven't read, though. Aliens vs. Predator, Detective, Facsimile, Avengers, Titans, Dollar Comic, the Superman. I'm not looking forward to read. I think that's kind of why I haven't read anything yet, because I don't want to read this Superman, because I know I'm not going to like it. And then I bought all of the the Marvel True Believers stuff. And I still have other books sitting on my read pile that I just haven't gotten to. So I do have this big pile of stuff I need to get through, and I'm hoping, week of Christmas, all the books that come out. Okay, now here's a tip for you. All the books that are supposed to come out on Christmas are actually being sent to your local comic book shop the week before. So next week, when they get their shipment, they're going to have the shipment of 2 weeks worth of books. Now, granted, there's not a lot of stuff that comes out the week of Christmas, but if you're a trustworthy person, if you know the store owner, you might be able to sweet talk them into letting you grab some of those books a little early. And then technically you get a week off the week of Christmas and then go back for New Year's. But my plan, my hope is that week of Christmas, that I'm going to get all of my Christmas week stuff next week. I'll have all of that stuff, and I'm hoping that when the end of the year comes, I'm all caught up on my read pile. So then starting first week of January, I'm back in rolling. And I hope to be back on the Comic Book Chronicles podcast that we do with the Click Nation. I always host it on popculturenetwork.com. But of course, it's also on theclicknation.com. It's on YouTube. You can find it there. It's on Stitcher and iTunes and the Cold Slither Podcasting Network. All these types of places you can go and you can find that stuff. You can find Click Nation. I hope to be back on in the new year. Right now, November, December are always so busy. We always have things going on almost the entire week. So I haven't been able to do the show in a while, but there will be another show tonight, Thursday night. So you guys can look for that, or you can look for Comic Book Chronicles on YouTube and find the show there. But anyway, my hope is, again, start the new year. I'll be on track to start reading everything as they come out and no longer be playing catch up. Oh, I did. There was somebody who commented on the podcast from the other day when I was talking about comics, and I was talking about how sales are not good. Let's see, but I don't remember if that was on my channel or if that was on the Pop Culture Network channel, because this show actually gets posted a couple different places. So it also gets posted on the website on popculturenetwork.com, and then of course the audio goes out on Podbean and then goes to iTunes and whatever. So there's lots of different places that you might be able to find this show when you go looking for it. Dane Thanor. Anyway, last 2 comics he bought were Indiegogos to support the creators, Cyberfrog, Jawbreakers. I also bought those. He's like, I only read nowadays the Showcase and the Essential Marvels from the Silver and Bronze Age. I also prefer Golden Age and Silver Age. I showed him off the other day, the stack of trades that I have, but I can't do the Essentials and the Showcases that are the black and white reprints. I've tried. I just can't do it. Color books being reprinted in black and white, just don't. I can't I've tried. I just can't do it. But I do buy the color ones. DC's been really good pumping out some of those Golden Age reprints the last few years. Marvel's been doing not so much. Well, they do have a bunch of their Golden Age. I do have a bunch of those hardcovers. There's usually an end of the year sale through Diamond Comic Distributors, and because I worked at a store. And because I go in every Tuesday and help them sort all the new stuff for subscribers and whatever. And so I do every so often get the liquidation list and go through it. And some of those Golden Age, Silver Age hardcovers from Marvel, I forget what they're called, but Barnes & Noble will get like their own unique version of them as a trade paperback. But Diamond Comics will have a regular hardcover and then a Diamond exclusive cover to them, reprinting Gold and Silver Age stuff, and I buy a bunch of those hardcovers as well. And yeah, the Golden Age, Silver Age stuff is where I really enjoy a lot of what I'm reading. A lot of you guys actually commented on here that you don't like the state of current comics. Page counts have gone down. The artwork isn't as good. One person even commented, medium household income has increased 10% since 1990, but the newsstand cover price of the average comic book has increased 400 to 500%. And again, that's with page counts going down. So, it's just again, it's a bad time for comics. I'm hopeful that they'll be able to turn things around in the next few years, but who knows? It just doesn't look good from some of the things that we've discussed here lately. But still want to hear from you guys if you got comments. Oh, and I keep forgetting, we have a 24-hour voicemail line. So if you want to just call on your cell phone or through Skype, whatever, you can call and leave a voicemail message. It's area code 217-953-4025. And that will go to our, it's a Skype mailbox, basically. We pay a few bucks every month, whatever, to have our Skype connect to a regular phone number. You can call and leave a message, and we can listen to them on there. And it's something that we've had for years and years and years and years. It's kind of like the office number. We kind of give that one out if people want, some sort of like professional place, whatever. So we give them that one. They can call, leave a message, and we'll get back to them on our cell phones, whatever. Don't want to give out my cell phone number necessarily here online, but yeah, you can always call the 24-hour voicemail line, 217-953-4025, and we will get the recorded message. So, all right. So that's going to do it for today. Like I said, not a long show, not a big show, but just wanted to talk about those places that I had gone to yesterday, had a good time. Again, probably no show tomorrow, being Friday. Let's see, next week is not yet Christmas, right? We got one more week to go, right? Because I still have some gifts I need to get. So we'll do a couple shows next week. But again, if there's anything specific you want to talk about, if you have a favorite Christmas movie, or a favorite Christmas TV show. There's a movie and a TV show that I watch every year at Christmas time. And I'm going to talk about those next week. And no, it's not Die Hard. Although Die Hard I do watch every Christmas. Yes, it is a Christmas movie. And I did just watch it a few days ago with my buddy, The Apocalypse, who we used to do the Comaholics podcast with. He and I got to hang out for a little bit. And so that was nice. We watched Die Hard because it is the Die Hard holiday season. But yeah, there's outside of Die Hard though, there is a Christmas movie and the Christmas episode of a TV show I watch every year, and we will talk about those next week. So if you want to make some guesses on what you think they might be, feel free to leave a comment on the video. Feel free to leave a comment on Facebook. Feel free to leave a comment on Twitter, on the website, wherever you want to go and do it. That's fine. But I have a feeling nobody's going to be able to figure out what movie. TV show, maybe. There are a few people I think they could probably get the TV show dead on. But the movie, nobody will. So, All right, that's going to do it for today. Not going to ask you to like, not going to ask you to subscribe, not going to ask you to click that bell, not going to ask you to share. I'm not trying to get you to go to my Patreon. All I want you to do is remember this one thing. You're watching the best looking guy on the internet.